So the premise of Fallout goes, it's set on a different timeline than our world, and the timeline kind of breaks right after World War II, and essentially in the Fallout universe's timeline, the Cold War never happens, and there's huge changes in politics, and technology and culture is very different. So technology soars, and they start making like atomic powered cars and atomic powered robots that clean your house for you and watch your children. Whereas culture kinda doesn't change at all. It kind of is stilted in 1950s Americana culture. Music really doesn't change. The only kind of music that's popular really is like jazz and big band and swing music. And there really just isn't like a whole lot of growth as far as like aesthetics go. By the mid 21st century, there is a worldwide petroleum shortage, which then leads to what is called the resource wars. All the big nations in the world, so the United States, China, every big nation is essentially after fuel, after resources. Now, whereas America can kind of depend on Alaska for Alaska's oil, slowly other countries become more and more desperate, which leads to China invading Alaska in the United States. So the United States goes to war with China. Canada gets like annexed from North America. All 50 states then break up into 15 commonwealths, and the states are kind of a little larger and they're kind of grouped together. Nuclear war happens. So on October 23rd, 2077, it is not known who blew up who first. All that is known is that China nukes the US and the US nukes China. And within 2 hours, all major cities across the world are completely destroyed. And then luckily, some Americans are able to get into vaults. Vault-Tec, which was a huge American company, built around over like hundreds of vaults all across America that housed thousands of people, had never-ending food and water supplies, was supposed to kind of be a way that if there was nuclear war, the American public could be safe and live underground and flourish there. However, what they didn't know is that Vault-Tec was a sketchy to the max company and performed awful experiments on its residents. And different vaults have different experiments, some much more cruel than others. Some didn't really have any experiments. But now we make our way to the year that Fallout New Vegas happens, which is 2281. Many people have left vaults by now and have started to roam around the American wasteland and kind of rebuild civilization as it once was. Now, there are a total of around, I think, 6 Fallout games in the series. It's kind of hard to say because there are 4 like main stage, like Fallout 1, 2, 3, 4. There is Fallout 76, which is an online multiplayer game, and there is Fallout New Vegas, which is kind of like its own game. And there's like a couple other spin-offs that I don't think are popular or considered canon. I don't know, I really never played those. But Fallout New Vegas is kind of different than like the main games. Unlike the other Fallout games, you don't start as like a vault dweller. That's kind of like a big thing with a lot of the Fallout games, is you're someone who lives in the vault and you kind of go out into the wasteland for the first time and it's like, whoa. In Fallout New Vegas, you are a courier for the Mojave Express company and you deliver packages. You are tasked with delivering the platinum poker chip. Eventually, you're making your way to New Vegas to go deliver the platinum poker chip, and you are captured by a man, and he wants to steal the platinum poker chip, and to do so, he shoots you in the head. And who is it other than Chandler from Friends in a checkered suit? You wake up in the town of Good Springs and you are saved by a doctor and a cowboy robot, and here your adventure begins to track down the man who shot you and to know the mystery behind this platinum poker chip. So now we're going to be kind of getting into the things, like the big things in the game that make it kind of special, make it kind of important. So the first big thing about Fallout New Vegas is the element of choice. The The Fallout series is an RPG series, and to some degree, all RPG, all role-playing games are about making choices, about making it your own. That's why it's called a role-playing game. Whether they be the choice to what skills you want to level up, what people you want in your party, any RPG has some element of choice in it. Fallout New Vegas kind of takes this to the next level. This game is so deep with elements of choice. You have so much power in this game, and it is honestly really rewarding because a lot of games really don't give you that. A lot of games kind of play out almost like cinematic, like they want you to experience the story how they want you to experience. On average in New Vegas, there is at least 2 to 4, I would say, different ways you can complete a quest. There's not like one set way. Like you could do a charisma check, you could do like a science check, you could kill somebody, you can, there's a lot of different ways that you can progress in the game and truly make each time you play the game different from the last, which is really important with video games because how many times do you buy a video game, you play it one time, that's it. You never have to play it again. You know the story, you know what goes on. And to a degree, yeah, you know the story, New Vegas, every time you play it, but there's so many different ways you can end the game and so many different things to explore every time you play it. Your first playthrough, you are not going to see everything in that game. You at least have to play the game, I would say, maybe 3 times before you see most of the game, which I think is really important because if you're spending, I mean, New Vegas came out in 2008, so it's definitely not $60 now, it's like $20 on Steam, but if you're paying like $60 for a video game, it should be a game that you want to replay and put a lot of hours into to make it worth your money. And that's what Fallout New Vegas is. It's a game that's well worth your money, well worth your time. It's a new experience every time you play it, and I truly think that speaks volumes. A lot of the time, your actions in the game play a huge role in what's around you too. For example, you could kill somebody in one town, and then 3 hours later, you could be in another town, completely different, and the person that you killed in that other town, that decision will either maybe come back and bite you or come back and help you. It really makes you feel like every choice you make in the game matters. Every action has consequences, which is really important because some games you do something and you're like, oh God, is that gonna bite me later? And it never does, and you kind of wish it would for some challenge, for some intrigue. A lot of video games are also kind of styled in the way where it's kind of like a movie. I know like with Rockstar's video games like GTA or Red Dead, I love those series, but a lot of those kinds of games play out more like cinematically, and I know they're not RPGs, but for example, Red Dead Redemption 2, it's a game I love and it has an excellent story, I think, but it's very concrete in the way that it goes, and you do have some element of choice. You have, I think, like 1 to 2 endings at the end of the game, but the choices don't matter. Like, the choices are so small. They're like small dialogue options, and you have like, you could be a good guy or you could be a bad guy. Fallout goes much deeper than that. You could be good and make bad choices. Like, there is no just like a black or white, right or wrong. There's like a huge gray area, which is so insane to go into and explore. Like, you can, if you're just getting annoyed, you could just kill somebody. You can kill everybody in the game if you want to. There is no like essential character or anything. Like, you could kill everybody and the game will be like, okay, they're dead. Anybody can die. And it sounds really dark, but it's a really interesting thing because a lot of video games won't let you just do that. You really get to watch your character grow in a post-apocalyptic world. And you watch the world change around you with every move your character makes the farther you get into the game. And you can spend forever trying to decide on what choices you want your character to make, which is where we will be getting into the morality of Fallout New Vegas. The world of Fallout is an extremely brutal one. There are raider gangs everywhere that will kill you for a bottle of Nuka-Cola. There are all kinds of scary mutated animals. There are death claws. There are mirelurks. There are ghouls. There is whatever the hell this abomination is. Yeah, thanks Bethesda. But the bottom line is, there was just complete anarchy everywhere. And I mean, there are factions trying to rebuild civilization, and there are people who are trying to make an honest living and just trying to go back to like the good old days before the bombs dropped. But there also is a whole new level of corruption in this world. Now, New Vegas is just Las Vegas. They just call it New Vegas after the bombs dropped. And there's a man named Robert House, and he is a old, cannot stress this enough, old. He was literally born in 2020. Old man, who he was a businessman. He owned one of the most successful robot companies in America, and he was able to protect Las Vegas from being bombed. New Vegas is untouched by nuclear detonation, which is a huge deal because every other major city in America, whether it be DC, whether it be Boston, anywhere in California, Pittsburgh, all of them are completely destroyed and in rubble. We see that throughout every game in the series. We see that these cities are just destroyed. There's like remnants of old buildings. Pretty much almost everything is gone. And New Vegas is untouched. There are casinos, there's a strip, there is everything, and there is nothing more satisfying than when you're walking around that orange, dusty, disgusting wasteland and you step foot in Las Vegas for the first time. New Vegas, I should say. When you step foot in it for the first time, and it's beautiful. It's wow. So Robert House was the one who wanted the platinum chip, because whoever has the platinum chip controls the Las Vegas Strip. And whoever controls that usually also controls the HooverDam. Now you may be thinking, the HooverDam? Why is that a big deal? Well, it's a huge deal because it's New Vegas's water supply, clean water supply, water that is untouched by radiation. Whoever controls the dam controls New Vegas. It's a huge deal. And you have the choice whether you want old creepy Mr. House to control it, whether you want the NCR, the Legion, or if you yourself want to control it. Like the sake of the city and whoever's hands you want. The morality is important in this game because, like I said, there's no right or wrong. A lot of it is just gray area. And it's really interesting to touch on because no faction that I just mentioned is necessarily the good guy or the bad guy. They're all kind of corrupt in their own way, so it kind of lines up with you and who you feel is good, or if you're doing like a bad guy playthrough who you want to destroy New Vegas. In my opinion, there really is only like one concrete bad guy. I would say that's the Legion. There is no single good person in this game. It's your choice of who you think is the best fit. So the morality of the game also kind of falls into a lot of the characters and a lot of the quests that are given that I'll also get into in a little while. For example, there is one companion you can have in the game. His name is Boone. Boone used to be an NCR member. He used to be a sniper in the NCR. He is now since retired and he's residing in the town of Novak with his wife. When you get to Novak, however, his wife is gone and he doesn't trust anybody in the town, so he wants you to help him. He says, I don't trust anyone here, my wife is missing. Can you help me, find out what happened to her? Can you, help me find the person who took her? So you are then tasked of going around and finding who took her. This Karen-esque lady named Jeannie Mae Crawford, who essentially, I guess you can kind of say she's the mayor. She's the kind of one who, runs the town and keeps it in shape. She didn't like Boone's wife because she was snobby and she was from New Vegas and was more used to the high life, not really so much used to this down-home Novak life. She thought she was kind of a snobby woman, so she sold her to slavery, to the Legion. And Boone's wife was pregnant, and she got extra money because the woman was pregnant. So Boone, you bring her out, Boone snipes or kills her to get revenge. And if you want, you don't have to sell out Jeannie Mae. You can sell out an innocent person. Boone won't know. He'll just kill them. you're the one who's supposed to find out and tell him, like, hey, this is the guy, shoot him. So it's all about what you want to do and what you think is right and wrong. And you soon later find out Boone knew that his wife was sold to the Legion and she was in slavery. And he went there with his sniper and he saw her being auctioned off, and he only had one bullet in his gun. And he knew there was no way he could make it out of there killing the Legion, just him, because they would obviously go after him. So he shoots his wife, so she doesn't have to go through the turmoil and pain of delivering that baby into slavery and being raped and assaulted and being a slave. And it's really heavy and deep, and it makes you think, and you feel so much sympathy for a video game character. Like, sympathy I've never felt for a video game character. It's crazy. And it's those kinds of things that really put your feelings on the line.